Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Stay-at-Home Bookkeeper podcast, Real Talk, where we talk about the real scenarios of building a work-from-home business. And today we are talking about productivity. We are talking about, are you truly being productive or are you just stuck in busy work? We're talking about why you may feel exhausted, but maybe you're not growing. We're going to talk about AI, how to automate, and maybe how to do a time study and learn what is keeping you stuck in busy work and how you can get out of that and grow your business. We'll see you inside the episode.
Behind every successful business is a story. It is a story of courage, creativity, and taking control of your future. This is the Stay-at-Home Bookkeeper podcast, Real Talk, where we're going to share real stories, struggles, and successes of people who have built freedom-based businesses. So if you're ready to design a business that fits your life, or maybe it's just scaling your existing business and hear the real talk from those doing it already, you're in the right place. So Emily, let's talk a little bit today about being busy, right? Like, what do we want to chat more? Because you and I we've talked to so many different people over the last couple of weeks. And one of the things that keeps coming back over and over is that, are you productive or are you busy? Like, right? Like, why are you exhausted but not growing? So like, what is the difference in the balance there?
This is such a great topic. We see so many people who come to us and share, "Oh, I feel like I'm doing everything, and I'm working so many hours, but my business just isn't growing." And the first thing we want to think about is, okay, are you busy? Or are you actually being productive? Or maybe we're doing some busy work here. And oftentimes we find that people might be stuck in busy work that feels productive, but it is actually keeping you stuck. So maybe we can talk through a couple things that we see that might be busy work tasks that aren't actually moving a business forward. Do you have any top of mind, Deanna?
Well, I mean, I was just going to say, I think a lot of times we think of business as like that means we have to do it right now. And here's the way I look at it. Busyness is reactive. Productivity is being proactive, right? And so I think, we think that, like, I don't know how many of you have Slack or you got your emails, and we constantly feel like we have to be reacting to them. We have to react to the emails. We have to maybe attend unnecessary meetings, or we have to put out those firefighting issues. Slack. I love Slack. It's a great tool for you guys that know how to use it. But the problem is sometimes you can get sucked into, I got to react, right? I got to go back and answer this person immediately versus, productive people, they build systems that are, that prevent the fires, not just put out the fires, right? And so that way they can focus on what matters. And so obviously I'm not saying not to pay attention to your Slack, but what I'm trying to say is you don't have to be so reactive all the time that you're actually really using your time to prevent the fires versus becoming that business firefighter. And so, I have found myself when I'm doing the time block, we've talked many times about time blocking, it allows me to be more proactive and be more productive than it does for me just to be like, oh my gosh, I got to react to this person. They need this right now. And so that doesn't necessarily feel like I'm getting my business growing, and then I'm just exhausted, right? I think that's the key.
Exactly. And I think when I think about people who say that they feel busy, they're drowning in tasks, to me, that says that is a symptom for having a lack of boundaries. And that's a lack of boundaries and a lack of intentional planning around your schedule. So like you said, Deanna, having your email up and thinking, oh my gosh, I gotta, and emails are never going to end, right? You're going to wake up and there's always going to be more. You're going to log off. You're going to come back an hour later. There's always going to be more. And I think whenever you are becoming a business owner for the first time, maybe you've been so used to having a boss give you tasks, do this, and we get into that like checklist syndrome, which, don't get me wrong, I love a checklist. I love crossing them off. I know you love getting your sticky notes and crumpling up and throwing them away, and that feels great, right? But if you get sucked into little tiny tasks that suddenly you've spent the whole day replying to emails, replying to questions, doing little one-off things, you're stuck in admin mode. You're not stuck in CEO business building mode.
Right.
So when I say that means it's a symptom of a real problem of lack of boundaries, what I mean is you don't have a system for yourself. You don't have a system that says, how do I decide what is the most important thing that is going to move my business forward? And what I can tell you, the most important thing is going to be sales and marketing. It means, do I have intentional time on my schedule where I put away all of the busy work tasks and I focus on reaching out to people on LinkedIn, going and visiting local businesses in the area, whatever you like to do for your marketing, maybe visiting a networking group. Do you have that on your schedule, a non-negotiable time? And then sales, do I have dedicated time blocks where I can book discovery calls with people, or I can have meetings with people to get potential clients? If you don't protect that time, you're not going to have any time to work on marketing and sales and growing your business because you're just going to be so stuck in this pile of tasks. So I think that the first thing I like to suggest people do is if they feel busy and unproductive is they need to do a little bit of a time study, which people hate. They hate to see me comment
I do.
whenever I say you need to do a time study. But it can be as simple as this. It can be setting a timer on your phone for 30 minutes. It's going to be annoying, but every 30 minutes, you take a couple sticky notes and say, what did I do for the past 30 minutes? And you throw them in a pile. Or if you're a spreadsheet person, you can list it on a spreadsheet. After a couple days, go and see what you've been doing. Where have you been spending your time? Does that mean, I spend a lot of time on administrative things that need to happen in my business? Spend some self-reflection and think, does that mean I don't have a system? Am I recreating things every time? Am I recreating email templates? Am I recreating how do I onboard clients? And maybe you do have systems. Maybe it's time for me to hire someone to help me. There's a couple things that you can do, but you don't know what is keeping you busy and what is keeping you stuck unless you write it down and find what that time is. What do you think about that, Deanna?
I think so because like you said, like if you're just constantly running around in circles, that's just motion to me. That's
Mhm.
the busyness, right? But if you start identifying when you start writing down those every 30 minutes what you're doing, you start identifying where I can be more productive or I can take action, which means I'm moving forward with something. Like maybe I'm going to do my marketing to move forward and get more clients. That's that's where you'll see a difference. But
Mhm.
when you start seeing that I just did that and then, oh, I did that again. And oh, I did that
Mhm.
again. I did that. Like you're just running around in circles. You're never going to really be able to be productive because you're just staying so busy. And
Mhm.
to me, that is exhausting when you hear yourself. When you start seeing that every 30 minutes you're doing the same thing over and over, of course
Mhm.
you're feeling overwhelmed and you're
Mhm.
getting tired and you're feeling beat down, and that is not what a stay at home business is about. A stay at
Mhm.
home business is about having freedom. And if you don't have that freedom, then why are you doing that? So the point is to really identify, well, like what Emily said with the sticky notes or the every 30 minutes with your time, is to identify, where are you just running around in circles? Where is it
Mhm.
just called motion? Or where are you actually doing stuff that's going to move your business forward to take action and to be productive?
And I think back on the productive conversation, I love what you said earlier, which is productive people build systems. I want you to think about that for a second. When you start a business, especially a bookkeeping business, and we recommend you don't need a lot of tech and tools. You have QuickBooks, and you can keep a lot of things in spreadsheets. But as your business starts to grow, you need to think about what systems can I put in place to make things smoother? Maybe it is communication with your clients. Maybe you need a CRM. Maybe you need to dedicate 2 hours in a week to do some research about a CRM and get something set up that will automate a client reach out every month and saying, "Hey, as a reminder, here's a list of everything I need from you." Maybe it is a dedicated communication if you have a team member or other people, whether that's Slack or a Google chat. There's a Microsoft version. But I take a look at your time study and see what is taking the most of my time, and is there a way for me to automate it? I've seen people as new bookkeepers, they recreate a new engagement letter or contract every single time. Well, we can get you set up with a platform where it's plug and play. You fill out a form with the client's information, and it automates it and sends it out. There are things that you can do to make all of that busy work less task oriented. And again, I love a task. I love checking things off, but you didn't build a business to check things off of a list, right? You built it to make money and to grow. And you're not going to make money and grow if you are spending time doing $7 an hour tasks. You need to be doing $100 hour tasks, which is growing your business, sales, and marketing. So do that time study and see what systems can I build that's keeping me stuck. Any thoughts on that, Deanna?
Yeah, I was just, as you were talking, I just thought of something and it was really interesting because you were mentioning about like, being busy. And I guess sometimes we have to really focus. And I'm sitting here really reflecting on myself too. Like a lot of times we think, are we a busy person or are we a productive person?
Mm,
If you're a busy person, right? I think a lot of times we're focusing on, like you said, like I got to get all these emails out and I've got to do all these tasks for the client. And that's just that's an illusion of what we consider progress,
mhm,
but that's being busy, right? If you're And that is generally where the fires are, right? A lot of times fires happen in the busy parts of your work. But when you're in that productive mode or you're a productive type person, things are not generally urgent because you're going to be prioritizing the high value tasks. You're going to be making sure that you don't have those fires, things like that, right? And so productive people tend to be able to enjoy their work so much more. You're still going to have little fires, don't get me wrong, right? Because that's just human nature with business and the clients that you have. But you don't want to just create this illusion that I was so I got so much done today. My progress level was great, and I did this when it didn't maybe necessarily move the needle in your business.
mhm,
So really thinking back, am I a busy person or am I a productive person? Like which one am I, and which one should I be? Right.
mhm,
I know a lot of times I tend to sometimes fall in a busy person bucket sometimes because I'm just busy, busy, busy. But
mhm.
I really need to put myself in the productive bucket and go, what should I be doing? Less urgent, but more of high value that I can actually grow and prioritize my business with versus just over and over and over again. Right.
Mhm. Exactly. And I think with any business, especially when you're starting as a solopreneur, there's always going to be work that has to get done, like admin work that has to happen. But if you get to a point where you find yourself so drowned in tasks, maybe you've tried to automate some things. Maybe it is time to bring on an assistant, bring on a bookkeeper, bring on someone underneath you. And I'll keep going back to this time study. You need to go through and decide what are these tasks that are stacking up, that are keeping me stuck, and who could do those tasks. And then the next step is to do some documentation, make some SOPs, which are standard operating procedures, and take the time to think through, okay, my client onboarding, how do I need this to work, and how could I pass it off to someone else? Um, Thinking about the fires that you talked about, Deanna, what fire continues to happen over and over? Maybe I have a team member and they make the same
Mhm.
mistake with a report. Maybe I make a mistake. I forget to follow up with a client on something because I'm so buried in everything else. And decide, how can I automate this? How can I document this process and train someone to do it so it happens the same way every single time? That's why they're called standard operating procedures, is to decide what is the simplest way for something to happen. How can I explain it and train it on it in an easy, repeatable way so you can have easy, repeatable success. But when you're stuck in processes that you're making up every single time, that's where we start to feel busy and overwhelmed. So there's a couple things there you can take to learn. Do I need to hire someone? Do I need to maybe train a process a little bit better to take some of that off your plate?
I love that. I love that. Now, I know I've talked previously about like time blocking or off, I've also heard people talk about like having this 2 hour rule where like you block off like just 2 hours a day that are just your major tasks. And then everything else is kind of depends on what your job your
Mhm.
home life is, right? But do you personally block off hours or do time blocking, or what works for you? Because I know
So
you're
what
very
works
productive.
what works for me, and in the role that I have to have a mix of a lot of high value conversation meetings where you have to protect your brain space. You got to make big decisions. But there are also some projects that I need some time to work on. So I always start my week with a Monday 1 hour. I decide what are the top 3 to 5 priorities of things that have to get done this week, no matter what. If I make it to Friday and they have not gotten done, I'm working late on Friday. They have to get done. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
And then I assign out due dates and I put literal blocks on my calendar, because I have people on the team who can look at my calendar. If they need something, they'll Slack me or try to get on a little call, but I have to block out time. So I decide what day is that going to happen? How long is it going to take? And this is a new practice for me. There's a study that says the amount of time you assign something to get done is the amount of time it's going to take. I've tried to challenge myself by thinking, okay, something's going to take me 3 hours. I'm going to give it an hour and a half. And it's been working. I've been deciding if I turn off all of my notifications, no one can get a hold of me. I can get something done. I would challenge yourself to be really productive by turning off all the notifications and getting those things done. As far as time and being productive, I do better when I have concentration of meetings in the morning, and then I do chunks of projects in like an hour and a half, 2 hour time when I can. I don't always have the luxury, um, but that's how I like to batch things. I like to batch conversations and then batch certain work that has to happen. That works for me. Some people are opposite. Some people like to do big work in the mornings and talk with people in the afternoons. But there's different ways you can do it, but that's what generally works for me. Is there something specific that works for you?
Um, I mean, I do time blocking and I love it. So I have time blocking based on what my, like, it could be sales, it can be marketing, it can be certain things each day. And I really try hard to stick to that. So I'm just a huge time block person. I wanted to, I was thinking as you, because you are probably one of the most organized people and I have such a mad respect for you. I am curious, and I'm gonna like
Uh-oh.
put you on the seat here, hot seat. What is one task that you can't believe that you used to do manually? Because I just thought of mine and I'm like, holy cow, I
Oh.
can't even believe I used to do this manually. But what is one that you used to do?
Oh, that's a good question. So many things. So one thing that has become really important to me, I used to think it's not a big deal not to have email templates and I can send off quick emails, whatever. I finally put for things that repeat, if there are lots of different examples. I love an email template now because I used to think of how can I say this in the best way. It doesn't matter. It truly doesn't matter. If you want to spend one time thinking of all the different repeated things that you do and set up little templates, that has completely changed how I work. It's also changed how we worked in this business specifically, just being able to speed up, not thinking about things over and over. Another thing I've recently automated is contracts, sending out contracts. I've set up a form where we put in clients' information and we click create contract, and it sends out the contract. It fills it out, sends it out with an email, personalized email, and then we get notifications of when things are handled. So those are 2 things that I've implemented, but there's so many things now with AI. Some
That's
things you
I
can
was just about
actually
to tell
do
you.
with
Yep.
and I didn't know. I didn't go to school. I didn't for automation or tech things like that. I'm not great at it. So I go to ChatGPT and say, I'm really struggling with this task. I want to automate it, but I can't visualize it. What are your recommendations? And it told me exactly what to do, and I did it. So that's a
That
tool
was
you can
actually mine. That was
have.
actually what I was going to tell you that I did. And it is because, and I don't know how I'd go back. Like, and it's so funny because when we're talking to people about, stay at home bookkeeper and they always ask, do you feel like AI is taking on? No. Oh my gosh. I love AI. It works so well with my
It is a
business.
productivity tool.
Yes, it is. And I will tell you what, for y'all that have not done this, I'm going to tell you right now, you need to make sure that you've got it enabled to where that it can help you with your emails. It is unbelievable of how it helps me rewrite my emails to be more professional and polished. Whereas I
Mhm.
used to manually have to try to think. And when you're trying to think of like trying to write the perfect response to somebody, like it takes time. Like, nope, not now. I'll be like, da, 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 and then it just like spits out this beautiful email. I'm like, oh yeah, I meant every word of that. Boom, like push send,
You know what
right? Like,
also works? It works whenever you are feeling some type of way in a work situation and you write, this is what I want to say, but can you make it professional?
right. That is true, right? Like,
This client is
I'm
really
sure.
annoying me, but I need to communicate this. Can you please make this professional?
But it does, like, I can't believe, like, there's been so many times that I think back, like, just even a couple years ago when you're like, gotta have a response to this client. And man, and
Mhm.
you'll sit there and you'll let it sit in your inbox all day
Yeah.
long because you just don't know how to go back and like to reply back. And now it is like within 2 minutes, like boom,
Mhm.
out the door, out the door. I am so much more productive because I'm allowing it is still my thoughts. I'll prompt it with what
Mhm.
I want to say, or I will typically go ahead and write out what my thoughts are, and then I'll copy paste and say, please clean this up. And
Mhm.
then boom, it's beautiful, right?
Mhm.
And so that has just been game changer for me because manually, yeah, it's great, but like, man, it takes it to the next level,
Mhm.
right? And so I was just curious when we
Yeah.
were talking about that. I was like, man, that's just I can't.
Well,
It's a
and
game changer for me now.
exactly. And what that helps, I think, when people get stuck in the busyness of owning a business, having a business, growing a business. It's not just tasks that you have to do. It's the mental load of all of the things that you're worried about need to happen, or that you're worried about you need to do. So maybe you see a bunch of client emails and you're just not sure how you're going to respond. Instead of adding to the clutter of all of the things in your head, just go to AI and have it help you. Have it help
Yep.
you clear the thoughts of what needs to get done. So I love that you brought
Yep.
that up.
I know. All right. Well, I know that we are running out of time here today, but I wanted to kind of like leave with this question, Emily, because I think this is really important for the people that are listening today. And maybe they want to leave their 9 to 5. Maybe that's their
Mhm.
goal is like, I want to leave my job and I want to actually start my own bookkeeping business and have my own financial freedom. What does productive actually mean if that's what you want to do? If you
Mhm.
want to leave, then what does having a productive business actually mean to you?
Okay, if you are
I
in
know
a
it's
space where
deep,
you
thinking
want
deep here.
to, yes, if you, I like to simplify when I have this conversation. If you want to, um, leave your job, set up a bookkeeping business, grow that bookkeeping business, there are a couple things I want you to know. What is my financial goal? What is my timeline goal? And what are the small proactive steps I can take every single day? Do I need to set up a business? Great. That'll take you 1 hour online to do. You may think it may take days. It takes 1 hour to set up. You need to choose your business name before that. And then you need to tell people about your business. Before you learn how to do it, before you can grow it, you have to get out there, have conversations with people. So pick your business name, set up your LLC, and start having conversations about your business. Small, actionable steps with that goal in mind of where you want to go. So keep it simple, but keep it actionable every single day. Don't get stuck in little piddly tasks that don't actually get you clients. That's what I would have to say.
I love that. You couldn't have said it any better. And I think it's really important that leaving, if your goal is to honestly leave your 9 to 5, being productive does not mean that you have to do more work. It doesn't mean that you have to work longer hours or even be busier. I mean, the context is that you're now going to have the time to focus your time and energy where you can generate income when you want to, where you want, how you want it, right? This is your business. You choose, we talk about this all the time. You choose who you work for, who's your clients, where you work. If you want it to be in your home or on a beach or in an office, like you get to choose that. And that is the joy and the freedom of having your own business. But you've got to be able to figure out what that looks like for you. So, really, really would love, for all of you that are still thinking about that, just be like, it doesn't mean that you have to be like, I have to be 9 to 5 productive. No, you just got to find out what is productive for you. What is it that is important to you? And then take that energy and focus into growing that.
Exactly. I love it. Well, if y'all are getting value from this, we would love for you to subscribe, keep listening to our channel, maybe send us an email, write a comment of what you enjoyed about this episode, what you'd like to hear more of. We're here to talk about the good, the ugly, the bad, the real about building a work from home business. And we enjoy having these conversations, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
All right, everyone. We'll see you on the next episode of the Stay at Home Bookkeeper podcast. Bye now.